Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Alphabet Soup. My name's Klimpy, and I'm joined with my guest.
Jake.
Okay. Alright, man. That's no, that's
Oh,
fine. That's fine.
no,
No, it's
thank you,
fine. No, it's
Glimpy, Glimpy,
fine.
Glimpy,
Yeah,
Glimpy.
no, it's fine.
Today we're going to be doing our top 10, what do we call it, releases, I
Releases
guess.
of this year. Yeah.
We're like halfway through the year. Uh, we're just going to try to see, okay, well,
Well, I don't
maybe
know.
this might be different in December.
I don't know
You
about
know,
you,
this,
but I
this,
have listened to every single album this year in preparation for this. I've listened to all of them.
oh, I've listened to about half.
About half. About half of every album.
Yeah, no, I listened to the first half and kind of just
Yeah. No.
But we use a site called Album of the Year, which allows us to rate albums. We rate it from 0 to 100. And well, how would we say our criteria is? Because
Um. I always say like I base firstly I'm just like rating like enjoyment level because I can't rate an
yeah,
album like really highly if I'm just not enjoying it. But like
yep,
there's little other things that then for me come into consideration because I'm like I can clearly tell that this is good. It's just not my taste. Like for example, I'm not like a big like heavy metal fan or that kind of thing. I've
yeah,
listened to a lot of albums where I've been like this is clearly isn't my thing, but I can see why
yeah.
it would be someone's.
You can like see the quality in it. Is
Yeah,
that like
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Yeah. So
so
like
like I think we're very similar where it's enjoyment first, right? A lot of people like value, well, replay value.
mm,
Um that comes in consideration a little bit. Like a couple of these albums I haven't spun in a while, so
no,
maybe the score will go down.
I don't know.
But a lot of my favorite albums, I don't know.
I just
Sometimes I just don't. I'm not in the
yeah.
mood.
I feel like it's as well. Like it's just like I don't know what I was gonna say.
That's cool. No. Sometimes to be fair, I like start a sentence. I don't know what I'm actually going to say in the sentence. Shall Shall we just go into the list?
Sometimes
Do you think?
silence speaks more than words.
Oh, that's the quote. That's the quote of the episode, I think.
Mm.
Um. So
I'm ready
I
to just
think
jump into it.
what yeah, let's do it. Let's go number 10. Michael, what is your number 10?
My number 10 is by David. It's the release of Withered. I mean, I went into it thinking this is going to be some generic slop that I don't like because I think David
Yeah.
was someone I listened to when I was like 16 and I thought I had a good taste in music and I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was all just like kind of generic slop, but like but when I listened to Withered, again I was expecting that. I didn't get it. I mean, I think I literally said I could see why someone would say it was generic, but it just sometimes you can like understand what would be problematic about something whilst just not agreeing with it at all because it's like, oh yeah, you think this is generic. A lot of the songs are similar, that kind of thing. I just love it. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was really great. I wouldn't say I loved it. I thought it was really great. Feel It for me is literally just like a perfect song. It's an unbelievable track for me. And so I think to get earns that number 10 spot.
What did you? What was your rating on that one
Okay,
out of 100?
84.
84.
84.
Wow.
84. Yeah.
We're already quite high.
Yeah.
Um, this is an interesting thing for me because 7 to 10 are interchangeable for me because I have them all at the exact same score.
Ah. ah.
So I've had to like rank them in my head, but to be honest, they could all be kind of changed in and out.
Yeah.
Um, so at number 10, at a score of 79 out of 100, I have Lady Gaga's Mayhem.
Okay. You gave it a
Really great
79.
pop record. Yeah,
That's
it just wasn't quite in that 80 range for me because
yeah.
80, I think we both kind of agree, is a great album.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's the yeah.
nine is really great, and then obviously we only given out a handful of hundreds each. 79, it's on the cusp of being great. There's just a couple things that hold it back. Firstly, positives. I think it was really great pace of
Yep.
a record, starting with Disease into Abracadabra. These are really great pop thumping records.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard that from Lady Gaga in a while. It felt like a return to form,
Hmm.
which is what I really enjoy. Um, I think she's just such an interesting character in just the pop music space. I think she's always just kind of done her own thing, which I respect, and she
Yeah.
is just doing her own thing here. The things that really hold this record back is just a couple of the songs that just didn't hit for me. How Bad Do You Want Me kind of sounds like a Taylor
How
Swift song.
bad do you want
Do you
me?
want
It is
me,
a Taylor Swift
me?
song, dude. I'm convinced.
It is,
There's
and
a
I'm
there's
not
a
saying that
conspiracy.
like as in like Taylor Swift is bad or anything. Just it's not my vibe, and I don't think it fit with the vibe of the record.
No, well, there's at least
Um,
like coming from someone that genuinely did listen to like a decent bit of Taylor Swift when I was younger. There is a definite difference between like the more standout Taylor Swift tracks and then the more like just general. And
bleh.
how bad do you want me? Definitely would fit into that general
It,
area.
it it
So
would. So like I thought it was fine. I gave it a 69, but I was just a bit eh. Don't Call Tonight. I can't even remember. Don't Call Tonight. Like it was just really
sorry,
media. It
there
was
is
just
a
a bit
track
eh.
coming up. There's a track coming up.
Yeah, there's a track coming up. The
The
Beast.
Beast.
The Beast.
It's my favorite
This
song of
was
all time.
just
It's my favorite song of all
missed the
time.
mark entirely. I just don't know what the hell happened here.
No,
I can't believe I gave it a 51.
I also gave
I
it.
think that was
We must have come to an agreement because I also gave it a
I think
51.
we did.
I
Yeah.
I
Well,
gave it
well,
quite
I remember
nice.
like the beat sounding really nice, and then just yeah, the beast is coming out tonight. I just that was just oh, I couldn't give it an 80 score because that was just horrible. And then we get that's a track 12,
Yeah,
track 13 and 14. We have Blade of Grass and then Die with a Smile, both just
one of
incredible
the best
songs.
ending, like genuinely like top. I don't know. In my experience, top 10 maybe endings of an album, just in
Oh
general of what
wow.
I've listened to. Like I rated both of them 100. I adore both of those tracks. So
Yeah, yeah, I got Blade of Grass at 95. Sounds a lot like an ABBA ballad for me. I thought it was
blade of grass, I will make it
it's
last.
great. It's a great song. And then Die with a Smile too. Obviously, like it's been TikTokified.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I think it's a
Well,
great
that's
song.
again one of those tracks where it's just like it kind of just outlasts everything. You know, it's like no matter what really
Yeah,
happens to that track, I think it's just always gonna be that good. You know.
yeah, and like I saw when that single came out, a lot of people had like issues with the mixing, and I don't give one.
No.
It's a great
No.
song. It's a great song. Yeah. So Lady Gaga Mayhem at 10.
Yep.
What's your number 9, Michael?
Okay. My number 9. My number 9 is Eureka by Jake Ryan.
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
I got. I mean, I got to be honest here. Present company excluded. I got to be honest. You know, and
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. It's an album that if it was on Spotify, it would be it would be in my like rotation of stuff that I listen to.
Wow.
It just was. I said it made an hour for like 5 minutes. It's got some absolute like ravens and crows for me. Certain songs on there just genuinely just like a ridiculously high level for what's such a, like a minimalist and relaxed listen. Um, and I think one of the biggest criticisms from the album was people not liking the minimalism and not liking the fact it was recorded on a phone and recorded just on the piano. But for me, I loved the vibe of that, the atmosphere, and it portrayed itself so well throughout the course of the album. I really love it. I gave it an 86, so it was just always going to be in my top 10. And obviously, Mr. Woe here is indeed Jake Ryan. So Jake, you still here, man? Jake.
Oh, sorry, dude. It just completely cut out, man. It's okay. I'm kind of okay with this because I can't take compliments that
No,
well.
it's very true.
So
I was like at the end there. I was literally just going like, and obviously this is Jake. And obviously this is Jake.
oh yeah. Yeah, that was
This
my
man's album.
album.
Yeah.
If you ever want to listen, it's out on YouTube. I want to get it
I
out
think we'll give a
on
link to it
streaming
in the
services.
description when this comes out.
That'd be nice. It's ambient. It's kind of improvised. It's just me at the piano. Um, so yeah, if you want to check it out, if Michael's picked it up and you are interested, give it a listen. Um, Number 9 for me. I want to move swiftly on because I can't comment on my own
Go.
project. Number 9 for me is Pink Pantheress
Haven't
with her
listened to this.
EP Fancy That. it is 9 tracks. It is 20 minutes. Like the songs really are they're short. They are not reaching 3 minutes. Like they are short, snappy,
Wow.
and it's kind of one of my biggest criticisms of just her as an artist. Because like I remember her like coming out and saying like a song doesn't need to be 3 minutes long. And I'm a bit like, hmm,
Well,
I think
maybe it
like
doesn't need to
yeah,
be in certain scenarios. Often it's just better if it is. You know,
yeah.
I think a
It's
lot of like
I'm just going.
I often think like a song probably for me is more problematic if it's longer. I think because then
Mm,
I'm like, oh, like I have to check the
it's
time
boring.
and it's dragging on. But like when a song cuts short, I get this horrible sour taste in my mouth because I'm like, I just wanted more. So if you're listening to a really
Yeah,
good track that's only 2 minutes long, you're like, it's my favorite song, but it's only 2 minutes, as opposed to just
yeah.
it being
It's
your favorite
it's
song.
it's
So
it's rough, isn't it? Because you want to sometimes when you're listening to a track and it is only like, well, for example, what was my favorite off of this record here? Tonight was is 4 seconds shy of 3 minutes long.
it's
Like
the
it is just
longest
it
track
is just
on the EP.
it is the longest track on the record, which I thought was just very interesting because it's like, well, it just would have been nice if that was longer,
Yeah,
or maybe it was perfectly paced, but for me, tonight needed to be a bit longer.
yeah,
Um, it is just hit after hit after hit. Like she just throws everything at the wall as soon as you press play. It is just throughout, just dance pop, super fun. I was just tapping my feet the entire time. Um, and it's something that I just like to go back to.
yeah.
I think it's at 79 for me because it didn't quite reach the 80 mark. Well, because of it's only 20 minutes long.
Yeah,
So,
there's a
I'm
certain
not
ceiling there.
yeah, it is. And it's 9 tracks, but then we have like an intermission and it's like I don't really know why the intermission is there and things like that. Where it's just a little bit and like for example, a noises is 1 minute 44. Like these are really short tracks, so I can't give it any higher than like a
Yeah,
79 because I think it's the tracks are great, but they're not like they almost don't feel complete. Like that's
it's
my
it's
big
it's an
issue. It's
album.
a
I
vibe.
mean, it sounds silly when I say it, but it's an album full of singles because they're not like.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel. I'm guessing it doesn't feel like a project. It just feels like
Yeah.
you've got a
Well, I
bunch of
actually
really really
think
good tracks together, but it's
mm,
20 minutes long and they're all quite short and there's a random intermission, so you're kind of in this sort of
well,
strange space.
I actually thought it was an album. It's a mixtape, so that works.
Actually,
But
to
I'm
be
still
fair,
gonna judge it. I'm still gonna judge it.
well, you're judging it as a piece
It
of
like
music.
yeah. So 79. It is just a great mixtape to just let loose,
Yeah,
dance to. My foot was tapping the entire time, which is just indicative of a great
yeah.
piece of music.
Okay, in my number 8, I have Mayhem because
Oh,
I
nice.
I
Okay.
rated it a lot higher than you did. I think I rated it an
Yeah.
88.
Oh,
I think.
wow.
I mean, I just did really like. Okay, so as we mentioned, genuinely one of the best closes to an album I've ever heard. Full stop. Absolutely, Blade of Grass, and then going into what's his face, Die with a Smile. Like
Mhm.
unbelievable ending. So I think that may have carried my score slightly where my like dead opinion of the album overall is like, oh my god. Because if you listen to a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
album with a really bad ending, you're like,
It's
oh.
like
And then it really goes down. But if it's a really good ending, it's gonna go up a lot because like you're then thinking,
it boosts
wow,
it.
that was actually really good. I mean, and I think certain tracks in here I was like unsure about, but I even gave How Bad Do You Want Me a decent score because I think again for me, certain tracks, like I said earlier, will sound generic, but actually still be a great track in some sense.
Yeah.
So for me, it was consistently in the 80s, and some of the 90s. Vanish Into You was an awesome track. Um, I rated that in 95, and then the last two tracks at 100. It took until The Beast for me to break under that 80 with a score of
Yeah.
51. Um, but
Yeah.
overall, incredibly consistent. I think going into a Lady Gaga album for me was a little bit like like a same thing with like a Miley Cyrus record or just
Yeah.
that kind of 2010s sort of era. So I'm a little bit Lady Gaga releasing music in 2025. This
Yeah.
could be bad, but actually I think the name of the album, Mayhem, represented really well. Well, I think it was an ordered chaos. It was chaos,
Mm.
but it worked in that way. I
Yeah,
think you were mentioning that calling it Mayhem may have felt a bit of a cop out because it just means you can just do whatever you want. And
yeah,
oh, it's fine because it's Mayhem. But actually,
because it's mayhem.
it
Yeah,
did work for me, and I really enjoyed it. So I gave it an 88, and I said this
yeah.
was Lady Gaga at her best. So
There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, I had the same like worry, I think, because well, I consider myself a Gaga fan. I think I am. Um, and yeah, her releasing music in 2025 did scare me, I think. Especially after her last record, which was just kind of okay. Oh, hey, little bear guy. um, yeah, I like it is an interesting record. Shall I move on to
yeah,
mine?
yeah, go on.
What are we at now? Number
Number
7?
7, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still in that 79 range. All these records are at 79 for me. I have Bon Iver's Sable Fable, baby. This was I put this over the other two because like this is like a 79.9. It's like
Yeah,
so
it's
close.
it's
It's
almost
so
like one
close.
thing that doesn't quite break it into that great factor.
Yeah, and I'll kind of get into that where it's it's meant to be a double album because obviously I think he released Sable, which you've
Yeah,
listened
which I
to,
listened to.
the
Yeah.
little EP,
Hmm.
and it is just Sable and then Fable. Like it is just kind of that. But I was very lucky to not listen to the EP actually because I went into this just with a clear mind.
Hmm.
I think that's a lot of people's biggest like flaws with this record, where it's kind of well, it's just the EP at the front and then Fable at the back end.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure why it's a double album. I don't really get the vibes there. I thought that Sable was a little bit more acoustic based. It's what you're kind of expecting with a Bon Iver project, where it's a
yeah,
little bit more acoustic guitar, really lovely singing, and then Fable, like holy shit, dude. Like we end Sable with Award Season, which is this incredible just cacophony of sound. Like the production on this thing is gorgeous. It starts like putting in like little like electronic elements, and you go into short story, and it's like everything is just transitioning. It just feels like one long song, which is just for me was it sent chills because I was like, oh my god, I'm 3 songs deep, and I didn't even know. I thought this was just one song.
yeah.
Like
Hmm.
it did just transition.
Wow.
Um, Everything is peaceful love is probably one of my favorite hooks of 2025. A really incredible song. I really love it. I rated that at a 94. I thought that chorus is just so infectious. I think my biggest issue is its biggest strength, which is the seamless transitions, because it just feels like one long song. I can't really pick out moments.
Hmm.
That's my biggest issue with it.
Yeah,
Everything is Peaceful Love is a really catchy, um, really nice poppy difference, and that's why I've picked it as an example. But these other songs, I can rate them quite highly, but I can't really sing it to you.
yeah.
Like I think it needed that balance of we're gonna make everything transition, and it's gonna be like these really cool, like you don't quite know what's going on around you.
Hmm.
We're just gonna like throw everything at the wall,
Yeah,
but it also need that balance of we need something to for this album to be remembered by.
yeah.
Like there needs to be some like a catchy chorus or something. And it felt like sometimes Bon Iver was kind of improving,
Hmm.
and it's nice. It's really good. There's a reason why it's at 79 because it is just really lovely to listen to. But it meant that when I finished it, I was like, I'm looking at these song titles, and I'm a bit like, what is this one?
Yeah. Which again
So
is
I
going to
think
be a bit of a problem because I think, well, for me, it's really interesting to hear you say that Fable was this like crazy cacophony of sound in like the opener of it, because when I listened to like Sable, I was just a bit like, I think I rated it
it's
about an
nice.
80 because it was like that kind of like in
Yeah,
that genre of music that's kind of just like unproblematic. They haven't done anything wrong, but they haven't done anything
yeah,
groundbreaking. It's just a nice listen. And again,
yeah.
like I'm not really going to remember a lot of the tracks. I'm probably not going to return to it, but if I did, I'd just be like, "Yeah, this is kind of nice." So
It's just kind of good. Yeah,
yeah, just kind of
yeah.
good.
It's exactly. I think it's a real shame because this really does deserve an 80 score for me. I think it was just that Well, it's what we talked about earlier with replay value. The only song I'm returning to on this record is Everything is Peaceful Love.
Yeah.
And that's just because it is just a gorgeous chorus. The only time that I think I would listen to this is I'll go award season short story Everything is Peaceful Love, just like those three tracks because
Yeah.
they just seamlessly transition into each other. The rest of the album, it's quality and it's nice while it's on, but I'm not returning to it. It's very one note. It's a one note album.
Hmm.
It's like not to be like but like with my record, for example, I think a lot of people's issues is, well, it's a guy playing on the piano, and that's the album, right?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of variety, which is the same with Sable Fable, where as soon as you hear the first couple songs, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
So for me, it's out of 79. It's just on the cusp of an 80 rating.
Okay.
Oh,
In my so this is now in my 10, 9, 8, 7 spot.
is it? I thought we just did 7.
Well,
No?
I've done Withered, Eureka, Mayhem.
Yeah, so this is your 6th spot, right?
Withered in 10, Eureka in 9, Mayhem in 8.
Oh, I think I'm a dumbass.
Have you skipped a song?
No, we're okay.
Oh, no?
We're okay.
Okay. All right.
No,
so,
no. I think I did say Bon Iver at 7 though.
Oh, I see. So that was actually your number 8.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in my 7th spot, it's going to be difficult for me because I don't have my own review to look at because I haven't reviewed it yet. But I have Lotus by Little Sims.
Oh.
Which I think if I was to rate it, it's in that very high 80s range.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back to my experience listening to Mayhem, compare it to my experiences to Lotus, which was yesterday, and being like, okay, but I do have track ratings. Like really, really good project. I think an incredibly lyrical album. It just like, and some of the tracks really, really stood out to me as like very. It's a very open and very honest album, and some of the tracks flow incredibly well. Free was a phenomenal track. Again, using those open and honest and raw and emotive. That's that kind of like, that's hip hop at its best for me. That's what it really like makes you feel. Kind of like Lil Wayne or Drake. And then like,
He's not the biggest fan of those two artists. We're both not.
what do you mean? Hollow, I really enjoyed. Blood was an incredible track. Lonely was an incredible track. I think there was a few standouts. There was one standout called Young, which was a really nice track. I actually gave it a decent score because I think for me, well, you know how I really
Who's
liked...
that knocking on the window?
It's
the mailman.
There's sometimes where I listen to a song that's so clearly just like really silly, but like when I said earlier that like my ratings firstly come from how much I enjoy it, I was smiling the entire way through, and I could listen to it right now and I have no problem with it. I understand because I think you said that the chorus, not a great fan of the chorus. You're not, and I'm not really either. That's why it's as low as it. That's why it is the worst track on the album. But I'm not going to give it a crazy bad score just because like I can't help but I can't help but enjoy it. I was smiling the entire time. I was kind of like, it reminds me of like a little kid show.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
What did you give that track? Enlighten me.
71.
Wow.
So it just got into the green.
It just got into the green there.
I think for me, I have a tendency to listen to a track that I can understand is not very generically good track or that kind of thing, but still because I enjoy it, I'm still going to give it a really high rating or at least a good rating.
Yeah.
So, overall, this album,
very fair.
I think there were a few. My only gripe really, there were a few tracks that kind of like little bit on the forgettable side. I think that's something that I experience sometimes when I'm listening to a hip hop album or a rap album in particular, because it tends to be a very similar sound or a very similar vibe throughout the whole project. There are some songs that slip between the cracks where I'm a bit like, what did that song sound like and that kind of thing, even if I listened to it yesterday. But there are definitely some that I'm like, yeah, that's it kind of just stands out to you. You're tapping your feet, you're bopping your head, and there were definitely a
Yep.
few of those in here. The highs were high. There are a few middle of the line ones, but as an overall project, I really enjoyed it. And that's my introduction to Little Sims, and
Yeah.
I just did really enjoy it. So
Yeah.
it's in the high 80s, and so my seventh best album of the year so
Yep.
far.
It's a great album, and I think I'll probably get to my full thoughts later. Ooh, it's higher up.
Ah!
Hooray!
Okay.
Okay. At my number 7 spot, because it's not. Just can't count to 10. I don't think.
No, you're brilliant.
I have, and get ready for this bad name. Are you ready for this? The psychedelic porn crumpets with their album Carpe Diem Moon Man.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
lovely. I've heard of them.
it's a interesting Oh, I've
I need to look
frozen
at this.
on you frozen on my screen. I'm gonna just chill.
Yeah,
Okay, you're
baby.
dancing. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
baby.
dancing. Okay, that's great. This is something that we'll try
Porn
and smooth out.
crumpets.
I don't know. I'm in a remote cabin. Hopefully you can still hear
Well,
this because you frozen again.
is it just my camera freezing or is it my
Um,
audio too?
I hope I'm just gonna dance. Wait until the Oh, I can hear you laughing. I can't see
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
gonna assume that you can still
carry on,
hear me,
carry
so
on.
I'm gonna go on with my review. The psychedelic porn crumpets, Carpe Diem Moon Man. This is really interesting because it is, and I know that metalheads will not like me saying this, but I found this kind of metally. This was kind of a metal rock project. This was quite hard. It was heavy. It was really heavy, and it's just not, that's just not in my sound palette at all. Um, it is just wall to wall craziness. Um, you see this like little like in the album cover, it's like this little clay mood man guy, and he's just like smiling and stuff. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, this is gonna be like a really
yeah.
pretty, a pretty album. And you press play, another reincarnation starts, and it's like, whoa, what the? Oh my god! Like it was like the most immediate start to the album, like to an album I've ever heard. Like I literally
Wow.
press play, and the instant you hear just a wall of sound. Um, there's a whole lot of screaming in this record, and again, I don't know why I enjoyed it so much, but it was just so weird that it was just awesome. There are some standouts for me. March On for Pax Ramona is such a hard song. I love that like whistle thing that keeps on playing sometimes. It goes,
Yeah.
there's like a siren that sometimes plays. I don't know. It's really interesting.
Hmm.
As the hummingbird hovers is one of the slower tracks. It's really spacey.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You know, a little bit of diversity in the track list, I think is really good. I think there's some forgettable songs. Winter and Parachutes, I couldn't even like. I listened to this record maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I've listened to it a couple of times, and I still don't really know what Winter and Parachutes is. It's just forgettable.
Yeah.
And then Out the Universe Pours and Concrete and Cola are great closing tracks. It is just wall to wall craziness. It's weird and it's gonna put people off, but for me personally, I just really enjoyed it. I really did. I gave that an 83. So
Yeah.
we're breaking the 80 mode now.
It's just
I
that
gave that an
kind of
83.
like couldn't like just the kind of mayhem that you're gonna enjoy. It's
Yeah,
all over the place. It's right at your face, but you're like, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I was
You're
just
just
with it.
getting
Like
you're getting the
ev-
vibe.
all signs pointed to me hating this album, or at least like not really clicking with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what they did. I don't know what kind of sauce they put into this record, but it is
Burger.
just yeah, burger sauce. Yeah, they put in this record. It's just I don't know. There was something about it where I was just like, yep, I'm with it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
83.
Okay. All right. Moving on to my number six. Six.
Yeah,
Moving on to my
we're
number
circling here.
6.
Number 6, baby.
Is the album that we have conflicted the most on in our time listening
Ah,
to records, and it is Eusexia, because I really like this album, but I know that you don't,
yeah,
and I think well we came to kind of an understanding. I gave it an 89, Eusexia by FK Twigs, and I think I understood it. I think that's where we kind of like I understood we both listen to the same thing. It's like a food. It's like we're both eating the same cheese, but I'm like, I don't like cheese, and then you're like, I love cheese, but the other way
Yeah,
round. Um,
yeah. But wait, the cheese analogy. But
even
stop.
I mean, my favorite track on that album is Childlike Things featuring Northwest. I think it's so fun. I think it's so silly. I think it's so childish, and I'm bopping along to it. It was like one of my most played songs of the month of March. I like. I just bam 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 bam. I just this album as a whole, it was crazy, but as I said, either you get it or you don't, and for me, I totally got
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
it was abstract and it was experimental, but but for me it was almost like this crazy like art piece. It was just like there was like I remember there was like a track with elements of like Middle Eastern sounds. There were like random
Hmm.
noises thrown in there, and so like
Hmm.
it was a very risky album. It very easily might not have worked. And yet, every time, because we listened to it together, every time like we came away from a track, I was like, "Dude," and you were like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it seemed
I just
like
loved
as
it.
the
I really loved it.
album went on, like your scores kept on going higher,
Yep.
and mine was just lower and
Mhm.
lower
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
lower. I do remember Childlike Things, of course, because just every time I went round your house, you just play it because you knew that I hated
Yeah, but I also
it.
loved it. It's not even just like I'm gonna play it because I know he hates it. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna
I
play it
know.
because he hates it, but I also really like the song, so I'm gonna keep it on.
I also want to just draw your attention to on my review there is a comment by you that just says you don't have any friends. And then I replied with I hate you with every morsel of my soul.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that's,
You.
that's a strong connection
Well,
there,
to
I
be fair,
think.
you also put a comment on my review of You Sexier, and you said, "Yeah, I really loved the dog impersonation. That was good."
Yeah, and is it called well 24-hour dog. I'm a dog for you. Or. That was more like a seal or like a walrus
I
there.
really liked this
Yeah.
this album.
Uh,
I really
well,
liked
to
this
be
album.
fair, I didn't hate it. It's at a 54. Yours is an
Yeah.
89. I'm at a 54. That's the biggest difference
Yeah, I think
in
we
our
did
rate
work it out. Is the either
ever.
that or like a Billie Eilish record is like the biggest we've ever
Yeah,
had.
yeah. So that's kind of insanity to me. Well, yeah, you sexual FK Twigs. Um, shall I move on to my
Yes,
six? We're at six. We're at
we're at
six.
six.
Um, I have Saba and No ID from the private collection of Saba and No ID. A great album title.
Yeah,
This is just a real soulful album. It is. It's just pure. It's pure rap. It's really nice samples. Well, I love No ID's production. I just do. He did Jay Z's 444, and that's a great album. Um, this is also just. I'm just a big fan of their production. Um, that's kind of why I like it. Saba does a good job, but there are standout songs, and like you were saying with hip hop records, I'm more of a hip hop fan
yeah,
compared to you, I'd say.
yeah,
But um, you're right. There was pitfalls here where some of them just weren't hitting as hard.
yeah.
For me personally, the starting track, Every Painting Has a Price, great great song. I can't remember who does the vocals on that one. I think it's BJ the Chicago Kid. That's his name. Uh, but whoever does the vocals on that, all power to you, because that is an incredible opener. I have that in '97. Uh,
Oof.
Breakdown's a great song, '88. West Side Bound is really cool because it's got like a couple of beat switches in there, and I'm just like, whoa, what the hell's going on? I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
And then the outro, a few songs, is also just a really nice way to end it. There are a couple songs on here that are like 2 minute. There's like a couple of tracks. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so like Stomp. I can't even say that word. Acts 1.5 reciprocity. Not quite sure what that word means.
this is the track on
Um,
the album.
s- Stomping, big picture. 30-second chop. These are songs that aren't reaching the 3 minute
Right.
mark. Like they're just, yeah. Some of these songs are just like 1 minute 30, and it's a bit like, how am I meant to remember this?
It's
Really,
very
they're
true.
like the interludes, but there's like four of them, and I'm just a bit like, huh. I feel like if these were cut, I wouldn't be mad. Um, really great really great album. I rated it an 84. I don't think it's a future classic. I think it's a really good hip hop record.
Yeah.
It's a hip hop record that has a lot of soul in it. And I
Mm.
think that's been missing with a couple of records that I've been listening to in terms of hip hop, where it's just like, well, they're rapping really good and the production is really nice, but it's not like that, like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, this is a really good album. Um, but we'll get to that later because
Yeah.
there
Well, I
is a
mean,
record that does
I mean,
that.
to be fair, I think you're at a number six with 84, and you started with
Yeah,
70. You've gone from 79 to 84. I've gone
yeah,
from 84 to 89. So I think,
yeah.
well, I think you're probably waiting for there to be more releases this year that you're like, yeah, this is it. This is the shit. You
Exactly.
know. Whereas like,
I'm kind of biding my time a little bit because like I think for me, 2024 was a crazy year for music, absolutely insane. Um, and I'm kind of, but it was really the second half that did it because like we had like the new sound, Jordy Greep,
yeah.
Mahash Mashana, Father John Misty,
Hmm.
Imaginal Disc, which is one of my favorite albums just ever. Um, and that was in the second half of the year. Chromacopia, things like that, where it's like I'm kind of hoping for that moment. uh, we'll see
Yeah.
with this year. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Anyways, no, number five,
My number. So in there now, the top five albums, top five
top
releases.
five out. Yeah, so far.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is releases, isn't it? We're not doing albums, we're doing
Yeah, we're doing
releases,
well.
which
Let's say releases. We can include
yeah, well,
EPs.
because you've done an EP already, haven't you? So we are doing
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so anyway, top five releases. In number five, I have "Hurry Up Tomorrow" by The Weeknd, which I thought was a beautiful, because we listened to the whole trilogy of his big three,
Yeah.
and I thought it was a beautiful way to go out. I thought like the with the end track "Hurry Up Tomorrow," I didn't rate a single track a 100 on on this album. I think that's probably what held it back, was there wasn't a specific track in it that I was like, this is it, you know. But it like it felt like the end of a trilogy. It felt like the end of a journey. And I think for me, what's most important when I'm giving an album a really high score is it's got to feel like there's a story going on. It's got to feel like I'm being taken on this journey. And The
Mm.
Weeknd does that incredibly well in I think all of his albums, where there's always this kind of, even Dawn FM, which I didn't enjoy as much as the other two. It really felt like there was a story there. It really felt like there was a journey that was being taken on. So, Hurry Up Tomorrow at number five. Unfortunately,
Mm.
Playboy Carti had to feature, but what can you do?
Yeah.
Um,
What can you do?
Again, I think there's a few things that just adds to it. I said it justified its runtime. It was incredibly consistent. There was only a few tracks that I had. Every single track was in the green for me in 22 tracks. So I think I did just really enjoy the whole thing, and I didn't have many gripes other than the fact that Playboy Carti was on it.
Yeah, it's a shame really because I feel like Hurry Up Tomorrow would be on my top 10. I guess I didn't rate it. I listened I listened to the whole trilogy with you.
Yep.
I don't have a single review of the entire trilogy. I don't know what happened. I have the track ratings, um, but it's not there. So I can't for sure give you a certain like this would be my score. But I remember feeling like high 80s to low 90s
Yeah,
range.
I think. Well,
I was
I'm literally at a 90. That's what I'm at.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that record. I really was. The flow of the first couple of tracks,
Oh, so
even
I was just reading Sao Paulo, dude. Like I fuck with that song so heavy. It was this like
yeah,
favela vibes. It was this it like
mm,
it was so both the fact that it felt like a journey and each of the tracks differentiated so much from the last one. Like there was no moment in this record I think that I thought, you know, this is getting boring, and it's
yeah,
22 tracks long. So
yeah.
I just think
It is insane.
The Weeknd's an artist, and I think he knows how to do an
Yeah,
album, and I think that's
yeah,
almost what like if another artist was to like keep up the same sort of like quality throughout an album, I still end up giving it less because it's not got that kind of journey that and
Mhm.
not got that kind of structure that The Weeknd can do. He can just do
Yeah.
an album. He can. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like, I think it's a real shame that I haven't. I'm gonna have to return to that record now. Which, to be honest, I'm not I'm not opposed to because it's a really good album.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's really interesting because a lot of people hated Sao Paulo when it released as a single, myself included. Myself included.
yeah,
I didn't like that song, and then when you hear it in the context, it is just a great song,
it
and
was an
it just really
awesome
does
track.
carry that. Like I think it's because of like it was the fact that it was like 5 minutes long and it was like Brazilian funk thing going on. I was like, actually, this is really good. This is really great.
Yeah,
So yeah, there you go. Um, at my yeah, we're top five, aren't we?
top five.
Number five. That well, I think this is an album that we realized that you haven't. We listened to it together, and you haven't done a review on this.
Oh no.
It is it's Balloonerism by Mac Miller.
Oh, that's true. Would I have
Yeah.
this in my I to
Well, who knows?
okay.
Like this.
If I was to have it in my list, I think it would be 10, or it
Yeah.
would be like I don't think because I think for
So
me
who
it's
we
like
booting out? Who was your 10 again?
Withered by
So
David.
when you boot you'd boot
Maybe
Withered out, you
yeah
think?
maybe yeah maybe. I think there were a few.
Hmm.
Well, I want to see what you have to say about
Yeah.
Balloonism because I
Yeah.
don't think for
So
me it
well,
wasn't like a crazy good album, but it
mm,
was just quite enjoyable.
yeah. It's obviously a posthumous record, but it was made like whilst he was obviously alive. I think it was made in 2014,
Mm.
and it was shelved. Like that's like like how this album is shelved is great. No matter like what we think about it, whether it's great or good, how is this album not greenlit
Yeah.
is
Wait, Jake,
is
keep
is
talking. I'm
insane.
gonna go get my water bottle from behind me.
Okay. Yeah, so Mac Miller, I've always been a big fan of him. I really have. He's just an incredible artist, and he's somebody that I haven't delved into enough. I've done circles, I've done swimming, I've done
Okay.
faces, but other than that, I haven't listened to like I've listened to his core albums, but I haven't really listened to all of his albums, which is something that I would like to do at some point. But Balloonerism, I think, is just the perfect end. Like
Hmm.
when I thought Circles was the perfect end because it was kind of like it was swimming in circles. It was kind of this thing here. This was the lost album. This was the album that was bootlegged and was like kind of like, oh yeah, there's a mysterious Mac Miller album. And I remember listening to like the bootlegged version of this like on YouTube. So a lot of these songs I just remembered and I was like, oh my God, like the opening thing, like opening chord of like DJ's chord organ. I was like, oh my God, of course. This is it. For me, the standouts are $5 pony rides. Oh, the E pianos on that ding, it's like crazy. Insane.
I think I gave track ratings. I'm sure I did. So,
I'm sure you did. Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure I gave that a stupidly high score.
Yeah, well, it's just a really great song, and I feel like it should have been a hit. It really should have.
Friendly
Um,
hallucinations, dude. Give that one
yeah,
of my
Friendly
favorites.
Hallucin. Yeah, you really like that song. I gave that a 92. Really great, like sleepy, sounding
Yeah,
stuff.
I
I
think
just really enjoyed it.
I think for me it's a three-track run of $5 Pony Rides, Friendly Hallucinations, Mrs. Deborah Downer.
Yep,
Beautiful
yep,
three for me.
yeah, yeah. 96, 92, 90 for me. Um, and it continues. Funny Papers, a 100. I think that is a gorgeous track. Really cool introspective thing going on there. Really nice beat too. I think Mac does a great job. And then obviously this is one of the most interesting ones for me is Rick's piano was this really weird like oh my God, the really drug trippy ambient thing. And then we have Tomorrow We'll Never Know, which is just this super long track. And it is just, yeah, 11 minutes and 53 seconds. And it is so haunting.
Yeah,
It really is. It is
yeah.
so haunting. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just, oh, I don't even know what to think about that track. I remember me and you like joining back on call, talking about Tomorrow We'll Never Know. And we're just like, what what do we say?
Yeah,
What do we even give that track? Because it was like the telephone ringing and things like that. It was weird. But yeah, I think it was the perfect end. I hope that they don't really release anything else
yeah,
unless
me
it's like
too.
something special.
Mm,
Like I don't think they need another album.
no.
Max Estate has done a really good job of just honoring his legacy in this really nice way,
Hmm.
um, which is something that I wish a lot of artists that have
Well, this
unfortunately
is what I was
passed
going to
away.
mention because posthumous albums have a certain reputation of just not being like the correct way to end
Nope,
the career and the journey of someone that's already passed. Like I mean,
nope.
I mean, looking at Juice World, the party never ends. That was really bad for me. Completely in the wrong direction. Not what
Yep,
you should do for a
nope.
posthumous album. Not at all. So
Even like X's, like I'm not an X fan. You are, or you were. I'm not sure, but
I was.
like,
I was.
yeah, there you go. But like, there's multiple albums by like X, and I like you've shown me a couple of those songs, and I'm like, oh my god,
Mhm. Mhm.
this is horrible. So like, yeah, I think for me, Mac Miller, his estate has done a great job,
Yeah.
and this was just a perfect end to a really great career
Yep.
that was unfortunately it was taken way too soon. Mac Miller, Balloonerism, I have that in 86.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I would be similar. I might be slightly. I don't know because my number 9 was a user score of 86. My number 10 was a user score of 84. I'm somewhere around there. Anyway, uh, we're moving on now to the top 4, and for me, so I have I have Hurry Up Tomorrow at 90, and then so that's in number 5. In my 4 spot, I think we're jumping up to 96.
Whoa,
So now we're really like for me there is a top
these are
4.
great.
There is
Yeah.
a
Oh
top 4,
wow.
and it is and these are the way that they are for me as well. I don't think
Okay.
I'm changing this ranking.
Okay. Okay.
So number 4, I have Luminescent Creatures by don't want to butcher this pronunciation. Ichigo Aoba. It's
Yeah.
something like that. Um,
Yeah. I think it is that.
absolutely ethereal. What the first sentence I put about it was didn't understand a word she said. Don't speak Japanese. 3 out of 10. Um,
Mm.
it's just it was one of the most beautiful surreal albums I think I've ever listened to, and one of the ones where when I review it I think I could easily see myself giving this a 100 in the future. It's not been
Yeah.
one that I've returned to too much since I listened to it, but it's incredibly consistent. The vocal performance was ridiculous. It was incredibly delicate, but also incredibly powerful. Um, it's just the kind of thing you put it on the right settings, you're just gonna sob.
Mm.
You're just gonna absolutely cry your eyes out. It was a breathtakingly good album, and I think for me, probably the best of probably the best like singer songwriter album that's been released, and I don't
Wow.
even speak
Wow.
the language.
Yeah. There you
It was
go.
it was it was it was unbelievably beautiful. Yeah.
I have to check it out because like obviously I'm aware of her and aware of some of her more classic albums. I have not listened to Illuminescent Creatures, so this is yeah, our top four has differed somewhat, which is good. I like to see that.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of different albums. It's good. I thought we were gonna have a lot of the
Yeah, me too.
same,
I was
but this,
because it would have been a bit awkward if I went in my 10 is this and you went same.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then we just be
No, no,
saying
it's
like
true.
reiterating the same thing over and over again. But no, there's certain ones
Yeah,
that like the other person hasn't listened to, or the other person hasn't reviewed, or the other person just thinks
yeah.
it's better. So it's like,
It's
yeah,
no, it's really good. It's really fresh. But yeah, I'll have to listen to it. I think
do.
I don't know why. I was like the cover. I was just a bit like, eh.
Well,
I don't know why. I
it's
just like
just
looked
a
at the cover
lovely
and was just
little blue.
yeah, it's just blue. And I was a bit like, I don't know why I didn't give it. I don't know why I didn't give it a chance. I'll have to return to it. At my number four is an album that's already been mentioned. Lotus by Little Sims.
Fair enough.
Um, yeah, everything that you said applies here for me. It is just a beautiful story-driven album. And I
Mm,
must admit, I was scared for this album to release. I really
yeah,
was.
through
I
the
was just like,
the
I'm a
production.
little Sims fan. I'm a little Sims fan, and the singles that she chose, I just think did not do this album justice at all. Flood, Young, and then
Yeah.
Free. It's just like it just doesn't do this album justice for me. And I was really worried because I was like, what is this album? What,
Mm.
like, I don't get this at all, because like Flood is really pounding and just really dark, and then Free is like wishing that our love would set us free, and it's like, oh, this
I
wait,
love the
we're
vocals
like
on it. I love the
we're
vocals on
flying through the air now. And then we have Young, which like
it.
Young, which is just such an interesting, an interesting song.
No, officer, I don't want to go to prison.
Yeah, it's just it's a weird one. It really is. I speak a lot of French. We. Um, but I will say this album, it's incredibly story driven. I mean, the stuff with Inflow and the 2 million that has yet to be returned or whatever. I know a little bit about the story, but it is a real shame, because I think Inflow and Little Sims, yeah, they were really great duo. And then obviously Inflow is married to Cleo Soul, which is also, Little Sims and Cleo Soul have great
Yeah.
vocals that go together, and we're probably never going to see that again. Like, so, stuff like Simbi and No Thank You, whenever getting records like that again, Little Sims is going in a different direction, which I don't think is a bad thing. Well, obviously, I don't expect Little Sims to forgive Inflow. I don't think that's
Yeah.
happening.
No.
But
No, not really.
yeah, this is a completely different record. And although I think it's weaker than probably her best, and it's not as consistent uh, production wise. Especially if it was under Inflow's production, it'd probably be a bit more consistent
Mm.
sonically. But
Yeah.
hey, here we are. I think this record is beautiful. Thief is so haunting. What a crazy way to start an album!
Yeah.
Just calling, "You're a thief."
I mean, I
Yeah,
like
and
it.
it's like,
I really like it. It's bold. It's brave, and
yeah,
it's like this is what the album is, really, in my opinion. A lot of the tracks, I think, are synonymous of the whole situation. So
yeah. It's
she wasn't
interesting
hiding
because, like,
away from it.
I think it was like Lonely or the title track where she said, like, yeah, I wrote this album 4 separate times. Like I rewrote it 4 different times.
Yeah.
And it shows. It really does. Because, like, it's been done with such a, I don't want to say a grace, but just like a more, I'm sticking to my guns here.
Yeah.
I'm calling you out
It was done
publicly.
with intention.
E- yeah, even with like Thief, it's like, I feel sorry for your wife and things like that. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I had like a Meet the Grams moment with Thief, where I was like, with that Kendrick track, I was like, I don't really enjoy this. This makes me feel really uncomfortable,
Hmm.
but also it's like such an entertaining listen. Thief was a very similar experience for me.
Yeah.
Free,
Yeah.
one of my
I wanted to
favorite.
like. I wanted to say for free. You've got verse 1 where she goes, "I think that love is forgiving yourself. I think that love is offering your immediate help. I think love is everything we need in this world." You go to verse 2. I think that fear is not trusting yourself. I think that fear is keeping true information withheld. I think fear can be exposed in abundance of wealth. And then you go to the outro, and that's all about being free. And
Like, it's just like,
I
yeah,
think it's an unbelievably it's one of my favorite probably just tracks that have been released this year. To be honest.
yeah. It is like, if we were to do a top songs release this year, Free is up there. Like,
Yeah,
spoiler alert,
Mhm.
that is out of 100 for me. I think that song is incredible. Obviously, we have Young, which I'm just a bit like, but I'm just gonna ignore it. It is the only song that isn't in the green for me. But I also want to pay attention to the 3 track run of Blood, Lotus, and Lonely, which is 100, 100, 100 for me, which is incredibly rare. Blood is such a gorgeous dialogue between her and what's his name? Sorry, I don't want Wretch 32. And they're kind of like cosplaying as, like, I don't know if they're actually brother and sister. I don't know, but it's kind of
Oh
this
yeah, that
acting
was a really
performance.
really cool song. I like that song a lot.
Yeah, it was so interesting. And I know that you haven't listened to this project, and you probably should. It reminds me a lot of Kendrick's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. It's kind of one of these albums that it's a little bit unbalanced. It's a little bit human. It's not going to be
Oh yeah,
perfect
definitely.
song after perfect song, but it's so honest and raw that you can't really fault it. I compare Kendrick and Sims a lot, and maybe that's to Sims's detriment, because I kind of like, yeah, she's like the female Kendrick, which is not right because she's her own artist.
Hmm.
But like, if I said in my review, if sometimes I might be introvert, is like her T-Pab, which like To Pimp a Butterfly, then this is her Mr. Miranda Big Steppers
Yeah.
for sure. Um, Lotus, the title track, has this gorgeous outro. Lonely is just this really pure and raw account. I don't know. The whole thing is really crazy. It's a shame that Young is on here. I think it would have been fine as a single. And then there's some songs that are a little bit forgettable. Lion and Enough. I'm just a bit like Enough, especially. I feel like that could go lower, like with that like weird toy piano thing. I'm not the biggest
Also,
fan,
my
but I think it still goes hard.
one real gripe about the album was there was just quite a few just skips for me. I'm really not
Yeah,
listening to it
yeah,
through. Like I'll do a 3 or 4 track run. I'll pick out my
yeah,
favorites, but there are skips, which is always going to
yeah.
be a little bit of a problem. But
Yes, exactly. Like it is a bit of an issue. But to be honest, I think part of me just doesn't care because it's just so
no,
they're especially that 3 track run. Even Blue at a 94 for me. I just great outro. I gave this album an 89, just shy of the 90 range,
yeah,
just shy, because of those issues.
yeah. Okay, we're now moving on to the top three,
Top three.
and this is going to surprise you. Obviously, don't check. I don't think you were going to, but
No,
these
no, no,
three
no.
all have the same rating.
Ooh,
Um, and so I've had to like my best three albums
ooh.
all being on the same level has been like,
I,
okay,
I
let's.
can I can garner a guess, but I'm not going to. I want you to reveal it to me.
So in number three, I went with "Forever How Long" by Black Country New Road. Um, a lot of people said that this was like a step down. Obviously, the previous album was
Hmm.
gonna hard. It was gonna be hard to make it a step up, considering that the last album from Ants from Up There was it's so incredible. But for me, they did, or at least they kept the level that high. I love BCNR. I don't think. Well, I didn't think there was anything like it until I listened to something like it. But it was, but it was just like it was just such. I don't even know how to describe it. I just like I I I said died in Minecraft while listening to this. I lost all my stuff. Tried to find my way back to that cave, but I couldn't retrace my steps. On any other occasion, I would have sobbed and put a hole in my wall. However, it didn't
Wow.
bother me. This album healed
Mm.
my soul. It spoke
Oh
to
wow.
me and said, "I'm awesome."
That's a crazy quote.
It's just
That's insane.
BCNR are really just the best of their genre, really, at least
Yep.
in modern times. That like art rock.
Yep.
I thought this was an
Hmm.
incredibly cinematic album for me. I think more like
Hmm.
that's where I'm like comparing it to From Ants from Up There. Is I think this one felt like a performance. It feels like theater. And I absolutely love an album like that. Yeah, Forever
Hmm.
How Long,
Hmm.
one of those albums that I'm just like it's I'm so passionate about because it's
Yeah.
so beautiful for me. It has
Gorgeous.
one of the best releases of this year in Two Horses.
Yep.
I'm a huge fan of when an album has a really good ending. I think that's an incredibly important aspect. And for me, Goodbye, Don't Tell Me was a perfect ending to the album.
Great ending.
Um, and I just think my lowest score in the entire album in 11 tracks was 93. That was my lowest.
Wow.
And I had two 99s, two 100s, two 97s. Unbelievably consistent,
That is
stupidly
crazy.
beautiful, and an album that I will just keep listening to as long as I live. Probably it's
Mm.
BCNR just know how to create. Sometimes I just say this is music, and I'm not talking
Mm.
about the Playboy Carti album.
No, we're not talking about.
I'm talking about something that just like makes me feel. It
Mm.
just speaks to you when you're listening to it, and you just sort of go into this trance. I'm a very
Mm.
I think we spoke about it before when it comes to like our reviews and things. You're someone that's been doing music all your life, and you've been performing music all your life, whereas I'm someone that literally only really started listening to it properly like a year ago. So when I'm like reviewing something, I often don't have the terminology, so I fall back on just how does it make me feel, and that's where
Yeah.
like the majority of like the kind of music that I think has shaped me is I'm just sitting there like because like I can't comprehend it. I can't understand it. And this is one of those albums where I'm
Yeah.
so in it. I'm so soul tied with what I'm listening to that
Mm.
that's what makes it so high. So yeah,
Yeah.
Forever How Long in my number three, which again, it's like my number three. I think it is the right order, but it is interchangeable. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
that's my number three.
I'm g- I'm gonna match you here. Number three. Forever How Long?
Yeah,
That's why I kind
nice.
of closed my mouth a little bit because I was just a bit like, yes, I do agree with everything you're
Yes, I
saying.
agree with everything you're saying actually.
um, I love this album so much. I have the collector's edition vinyl.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
just,
Mhm.
I love this band. Um, and although, like, obviously, I think Ants from Up There is their peak. Um, I don't get this. I really don't understand how this is at an average user score 82. I
Mm.
really don't. This is yeah, this is below their live album, Live at Bush Hall, which is at an 83.
Yeah, I
I
just
just
think.
don't.
Well, I think I'm okay with people saying From Out From Up There is better, but I think for
Yeah.
me they maintained the standard and the level.
Yes.
And so to
Yes.
think
And
that
I
From Out From
think
Up There has a 90, and then Forever How Long has an 82, I'm like
yeah, we're
something's not
splitting
right here.
hairs. I think just I think this album needs a little bit more respect. Like I think it is better than an 82. I've got it at 94. I think it's an incredible record. It was something that I was just listening to this album for at least a span of like 2 weeks when it came out. Because I was
Yeah,
like, I don't know, I can't go back to normal music.
exactly, dude. Exactly.
This is so good. Bestie's incredible opener. It is, I think, if I go to my stats here, I think it is my most listened to song this year or up there.
Mhm.
Let me have a quick look. There's a little diverge here.
I'm
Yeah,
sure my most listened to.
Besties. So yeah, my most listened to song this year is Besties, and then it's Happy Birthday, and then God Stain Quedeca, then Salem Sisters by Country New
Yeah,
Road, and
yeah,
then five Everything Is Peaceful Love Bunny Bear. So like it is just really like I do just love this album. I spin it constantly. I think the two blemishes I have, or maybe three, I guess, is the big spin, which I think is good. It's a great track.
yeah.
It's just it doesn't have the memorability. Socks is my least favorite song on the album. Like it's at 76. It's good. I don't think it's BCNR good. I think it just does lack that memorability for me.
You wanna know what I have it
Um,
at?
yeah, go on.
99.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. And then Forever How Long, the title track, it's just May singing with a bunch of like recorders. I think it's a spectacle to see live. I really want to see this band live. It's like it's insane. But I think on the recorded version, the studio version, it doesn't do it as much justice. Other than that, hey, Salem Sisters 100. That's a song that I feel like people are sleeping on, man. Two Horses, crazy song. For the Coal Country, incredible. Nancy Tries to Take the Night. These are all just great songs. I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah,
I think the three singers, Georgia, Tyler, and May, do a great job of just their kind of their songwriting is a lot better, and the fact that Isaac Woods departed and he's such an incredible frontman, and just instead of trying to get another one in, they just took it upon themselves. They took the responsibility. It's like, no, we're BCNR. This is our band, and they came forward and did it. It's an incredible record and an incredible story. So, Forever How Long, 94 for me.
I agree with that.
What did you rate Forever How Long, by the way?
98.
Wow,
Yeah,
crazy.
with great album.
Yeah, we're at this stage now.
Okay.
Okay,
All
you're
right.
number two.
Number two. Okay. Number two. This is the hardest one for me of all of them. This sucks.
Okay.
It sucks having to put one of these below the other.
Ooh,
But
okay.
I've decided in my head. I think based on replayability, based on like nothing else, I've gone with Plan 75 in number two, which I'm sure the people, a lot of people watching won't be familiar with this project.
Yeah.
It's an EP by the Orchestra, in brackets for now, because you know they never know, they might not be around very long.
Yeah.
But like I just this was probably the most baffled I've ever been, because I think we wanted to listen to an album or something, and we were just on call. We weren't really doing anything, and then I just said, well, how about we listen to just this, because it had a relatively high score for a very little amount of reviews.
Yeah.
Unbelievably incredible. I mean, this is
Yes.
what I said just like a few minutes ago, how when I listened to BCNR, it was like the first of its kind that I'd listened to, and I was like, they are just their own genre. And then Plan 75, the Orchestra for Now, that is just like another BCNR, really. I don't want to like, you know, I want to set them
No.
apart as artists.
Well,
and
they're
tracks,
both from the windmill scene. Like that is just like
it's very true.
it's kind of its own little subgenre almost.
I'd say my favorite genre of music, I would say, is art rock. I think
Yeah.
art rock, post rock, progressive rock, that kind of thing. And when you get it right, it's ethereal. I hardly wrote anything about this album because I had nothing to say after listening to this EP. I had nothing to say. I couldn't. I gave two 100s, a 95 and a 97 for the 4 tracks on this on this record. Like genuinely outstandingly beautiful. The soundscapes, the use of instruments, it was just like otherworldly. It was absolutely stunning. So thoroughly deserves to be in my top 3. It's really difficult. Like I kind of just want to have like Forever How Long and Plan 75 on the same thing, because really but I think I've returned to Plan 75 more than I have Forever How Long, I think. And when I listened to it, like I immediately gave it a 100. Since then, I just knocked it down to a 98, just because I don't think it's quite like, if I'm looking at my 100 list of stuff that I've listened to and thought this is perfect, I don't quite think Plan 75's on that same tier. It's incredibly close. But for me, the most surprised I've ever been listening to an album. It was stunning, and I just can't wait for them to release more stuff. So yeah, Plan 75 is absolutely deserved.
Yeah.
In the top 3 for me.
Top 2 for me. Plan 75.
Yeah.
I have this at a 96. Well, I don't know what, like, I think I did. Yeah, my review is, what the fuck can I say about this musical mastery? Like, it is just, sometimes something's so good you can't
Speaks for itself.
describe it. Yeah, it does. I think, it's 22 minutes of bliss. It really is. The crazy part for me is this is 22 minutes and 4 tracks. This is longer than the Pink Pantheress album mixtape. Sorry, that's 9 songs long, man. That's 20 minutes. That's crazy.
Well, I think
Absolutely
I do remember
insane.
when we were talking about this. I think one of my biggest problems with this is that it's not an album. Is that it felt like it needed to be. I needed to be more, and the fact that we then looked
It
at
needed
them
to be.
and they hadn't released like anything else because they were completely new. It was like
Yeah.
it
Just sucks. It just sucks because I feel like if you had 4 more songs, even if they're not to the same quality, this is an incredible record.
Yeah.
Like this is like, you can have these 4 songs, because like I have these, like, mid-range to 100, like mid-range 90s to 100. So like, even if you had 4 tracks that are like 80, right, and just sprinkled in, this is an incredible record. I have this over Forever How Long because of the consistency, but like also it's easier for an EP to be more consistent because there's less songs.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard. It feels like a cop out, but like still for me, the music speaks for itself. 96, incredible, and I really do wait for this studio album debut, because like we need that. Yeah, I needed that like yesterday, bro. Like it is
Well,
just,
I needed it the day before.
yeah. So incredible little EP. Can't wait to hear what they do next.
Yes. Very true.
Then the number one.
1. Come on, you guys. Let's do this.
Run it up.
We have the same number 1. I almost
Yeah.
sure of it. So I think we could just have a conversation about it. I think because we don't need
Yep.
to.
Yeah.
Number one,
Yeah.
ego trip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it went up for me. It absolutely just the best, one of the best hip hop records I've ever listened to, and it came out this. Some of the tracks are, and I'm not someone that tends to listen to this genre of music. I don't tend to dabble in it. In fact, I've listened to a lot of hip hop stuff and thought this just sounds generic and this sounds the same, and I don't really understand why people like it. This is what it's meant to sound like. This record, this album, some of the tracks, Take No More, Take No More, man, this is what I ever wanted. It's genuinely, like, and I have the closing track at 102, which is Sunday Morning Genesis, because that was like, we had this like absolute barrage of music, this like powerful hip hop record. And at the
And
end,
it's just such a chill
yeah, it
ending.
just
It's just
fades
such
out. My Sunday morning Genesis.
Genesis.
Oh. This album, it doesn't drop. Well, it doesn't drop below the 90s. I rated one of the interludes an 88 because the interludes were actual like songs, so I did rate
Yeah.
them. But like
Yep.
in its general sense, unbelievable album. There's really there's no skips. There's no skips for me. I'm not skipping a track here. I listen
I'm
to
not
it.
skipping a single song.
I listen to it like it's my favorite thing to listen to while I'm just doing something, because I'm just like I just stick it on and then I don't have to touch my phone. I can do whatever I want, and the entire time I go,
Yeah.
yeah. Can you tell that's my favorite song? It's just
Yeah, I could.
it's just even the features on this album. There's a decent amount of features on this album. And I always think like that's where like hip hop records kind of go wrong, is they'll have like a feature that I just don't understand. Like, why have you got Lil Wayne? Which brings me on to my next pick. That wasn't number one. That was number two. I'm going with Carter 6 by Lil Wayne.
Oh wow!
Yes, it's my favorite album. So I really like how he raps and he's going, I got shot 9 times. I don't commit any crimes. I really like Lil Wayne. He's one of my favorites.
Back to wow. back to Ego Trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Anytime Little Wayne comes on, because we're currently doing a Drake deep dive, and like because obviously Drake and Little Wayne are kind of so. Michael does not care for Little Wayne. I don't like Little Wayne, or at least his features. This guy, like, despises it. Like, number one
really
Little Wayne
good.
hater.
He's really good. I love him. I love him. I want to see what I've said about him in the past. I think I said I wanted to shoot him. He's so good.
It's great. Well, I think I'm gonna go back to the good music.
Yeah, go back to
Ego Trip. I'm gonna go back to the good music. Ego Trip. There's no skips here. It's maximalist. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And it's like it's Chipmunk Soul, which is my favorite brand of hip hop. But then jazz as well, and
Yeah.
it's like, what is going on
It's
in my
unbelievably
ears?
powerful. It's so powerful.
Anthony James kills it on production, kills it. There are some samples here that are used by like Kanye West and things like that, where like I'm like, this ballsy using this sample because like these are iconic songs. He flips it in a way where it's like, I don't even care about the original song now.
No.
Like this is how the sample should have been used. Yeah, something. I don't know, man. Like Preacher, some crazy songs,
Preacher.
some crazy songs. Yeah, so it's deserving of its score. I gave it a 97.
And there we go. Not a single 100 from us actually. From
Crazy.
From
Yeah.
this year. I mean, I'm kind of waiting for. I mean, if the orchestra release an album this year,
Yep.
maybe. But I think a lot of my favorite artists, I don't know whether they're going to release an album this year or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna get a Radiohead album this year.
Don't think so, man. I will say this: like, I think Lotus was probably the album I was looking forward to most. Well, Black Country New Road as well. Those were the two albums that I was looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
And then apart from the Quedeca record that is supposedly releasing this year, I'm not sure if it is, but he's teasing it, so I would hope so. I don't know if there's anything else that I'm like excited for. That's been announced at least.
Breach
Like,
by 21 Pilots.
oh yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not. I'm not ecstatic. I used to be like I used to be a 21 Pots fan. There you go, little known fact about myself. But
Okay,
who knows how that record's gonna sound?
Roddy Rich is releasing an album this year, dude.
Oh shit. Okay, hold on.
So
Hold on a second.
we got a stag, and that comes out in next month, dude.
Oh, what about Benson Boone's new album?
Benson Boone.
That's
I think
Benson Boone's releasing something because I remember
he
like
is.
the cover being like him in front of like an American flag or something
Oh
crazy.
yeah, yeah. So he's released Mystical
Um, um,
Magical. Mystical Magical.
hmm,
I think that's how it
yeah.
goes.
That-
Well, actually, it goes Mystical Magical. It's
oh,
like that.
oh, dude, June 20th.
User score
What's
of
the date today?
29 on Mystical Magical. User score of 46 for his Transformer song.
The comments say worst album of the year. It's not even out yet.
I don't get the hate for Benson
On
Boone. I think he's
God,
one of the best ever.
on God, we are all listening to this shit. Okay, that's crazy. Well, this has been our top 10
Yes, it
of
has.
2025 thus far. You know, our list could change come December or January whenever we're gonna do the finalized list. But we've documented it now. We have like a kind of the groundwork. These are the albums that we have enjoyed. I'm hoping for me to see a bit more 80s and 90s in my list. I think because I have still the first three projects are still in the 70s range.
Yeah.
I would like to see like 80s across the board, or at least the lowest being like an 80 range. I think that's my hope for this year.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes,
Let's see
right?
how it goes.
Well, thank you very much
Thank you
for
for watching.
watching the first ever
I've
episode of
been
Outboard Soup.
Michael in brackets Onion Man, and
Mm-hmm.
this has been
I've been Jake, and I don't have a nickname. Um,
thank you.
you've frozen again. You've frozen again.
I've frozen again.
Oh wow.
Ben 10.
Oh yeah, Michael's new album's gonna come out soon, guys.
Am I good to end the video? Are you? Can you see?
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Thank you guys for